Welcome back to this part 2 of drug stability chapter. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about various factors affecting the chemical stability. Also, this question can be asked as effect of temperature, solvent, ionic strength, dielectric constant, or rate of reaction. Also, the next question which we are going to discuss in this chapter is what are the physical and chemical factors influencing the degradation of pharmaceutical products. See, this both questions look same. If they ask generally what is the factors affecting the chemical stability, you can straight away write this question. Or if they ask specifically what are the physical and chemical factors influencing the degradation of pharmaceutical product, you try to write this question. And if you see the remaining three questions, which is once again related to this, if you see the question number 10, discuss how the formulations can be stabilized from hydrolytic decomposition. Hydrolytic decomposition or oxidative decomposition once again comes under the part of chemical factors, and this question deals with how this degradation through hydrolysis or oxidation can be prevented will be discussed in these questions. If you see the last question, the stabilization method of medical agents against hydrolysis, oxidation and light, once again this question is nothing but the combination of these two questions. So move on to the question number 1. What are the factors affecting the chemical stability or the factors affecting the degradation of the pharmaceutical product? There are basically mainly two factors. One are the external factors and another one is the internal factors. The external factors such as temperature, light, oxygen and moisture. That means these are the factors which are present in the environment and causing the degradation of the pharmaceutical product. When coming to the internal factors such as solvent, pH and buffers, dielectric constant, solid state form, these are the factors which is related to the pharmaceutical product, that is the own properties of the product which is influencing its degradation. That is the difference between these two. We will first see the external factors, and that the first the temperature. The speed of many reactions increases about 2 or 3 times with every 10 degrees rise in temperature. That means any chemical reaction, if you take, let us say, acid hydrolysis of esters or amines, the reaction speed is going to be doubled or tripled when you increase a 10 degrees rise in temperature, that is 10 degrees to 20 degrees, 20 degrees to 30 degrees and so on. Arrhenius explains the effect of temperature on the rate of reaction through the equation K is equal to A to the power of minus EA by RT. The K indicates specific rate constant, A is the frequency factor or Arrhenius factor, E is the energy of activation, R is the ideal gas constant, that is 4.184 joule per moles, T is the absolute temperature K. So what is this energy of activation? Energy of activation defined as the minimum energy required for a molecule or that should possess so that the molecular collisions produce the product. And Arrhenius factor, it is defined as the frequency of collisions which can occur between the two reacting molecules, and A is the product of number of molecules of collision. If you see these three terms, it basically talks about the collision theories, collision molecular theory. That means in order to proceed a product, basically the molecule should first collide with each other. That is the frequency of collision, the number of collisions. For colliding with each other, they require some minimum energy to start. That is the minimum energy that is possible, or that is a molecule should possess so that a molecular collision will happen and forms to the product. So the mechanism by which these collisions will happen and the product is going to be formed. The collisions theory postulates that the collisions must occur between the molecules of the reaction to proceed. The reaction between the molecule does not take place unless until the colliding molecules possess some sufficient energy, that is we already discussed in the previous slide, EA. As the temperature rises, more molecules absorb more amount of energy and get activated. These activated molecules are responsible for increased rate of reaction. These principles are applicable to all orders of reaction, that is from 0 order to the second order. So basically the molecule should possess some energy to start colliding with each other, and the number of collisions or the frequency of collisions is mainly depending upon the temperature. If the temperature is more the collisions and the reaction is going to be increased. However, there are some exceptions where this temperature, that is the rise in temperature, is not directly proportional to the rate of a reaction. The first exception is oxygen solubility. Usually oxygen having more solubility at low temperatures. See, the decomposition or rate of reaction may sometimes increase rather than decreasing when a product is stored at low temperature. The best example is oxygen, because in cool places the dissolved oxygen content will increase, which will enhance the rate of a reaction. That is, most of the oxidation products or oxidation reactions will happen at cool temperature rather than unlikely the high temperatures. The another exception is pH alteration. If you all aware on the basics of the proteins are highly pH sensitive as well as thermal sensitive. That means when the pH is altered or the temperature is increased, folding or unfolding of proteins occur. During lyophilization cycle, see, lyophilization is basically a freeze drying the solvent in the presence of cool, reducing the temperature, that is directly converting the solvent into the vapor sublimation process, during which the protein's pH is going to be varied. When the pH is varied and the temperature you are changing, it causes the instability of the proteins. Proteins tend to be more stable at their isoelectric point. Isoelectric point is a pH at which a particular molecule or a protein carries no net charge. When there is no net charge, the proteins is going to be stabilized and we can prevent the protein degradation. Coming to the next factor, influence of light. See, the influence of light we are going to discuss in detail in the part 3 of this drug stability chapter. Similarly, the influence of oxygen as well as the influence of moisture we are going to discuss in this part 2 detailedly in the chemical factors affecting the degradation of pharmaceutical products. Comes to the next factor, the internal factors. After the external factors, the internal factors, and that the first one is influence of solvents. Mole polar solvents, for example water, accelerate the reactions and favor in the formation of mole polar products. That means more the polar solvents, the product formed also more polar, or it is retarding the formation of less polar products. Example, nitrobenzene is basically a more polar solvent, so it favors the formation of more polar products and retards and stops the formation of less polar products such as ethylene acetate. Similarly, or vice versa, the less polar solvents such as hexane accelerate the reaction favoring the formation of less polar products, that is ethyl acetate, or retard the formation of more polar products. So more the polar solvent, the product also formed is a more polar product. Similarly, less the polar solvent or the polarity of the solvent, that is dipole moment, the product formed also having a less polarity or dipole moment. Next comes is influence of pH and buffers, another internal factor affecting the degradation of products. Many drugs are either weak acids or bases, we all know this, and we also know that acids is going to be ionized or going to be decomposed in the bases and vice versa. These drugs exist in ionized or ionized form depending on the pH. Just now I am saying, like I say, weak acids are going to be ionized in the basic form or basic media, and bases is going to be ionized in the acidic media. Normal ionized forms are more water soluble and willing to chemical reaction than unionized forms. That means one reaction has to be happen. Usual ionic forms are more reactant than when a molecule is existing in their molecular form. Similarly, most of the drugs react to a larger extent in aqueous solutions, especially at extreme pH, either highly acidic pH, that is contain more H plus ions, and highly basic pH containing more OH minus ions. Once again, if you see, this is indirectly says that acidic and basic media favors the drugs to be reacted, because in this acidic and basic conditions only the drugs to be going to be existent in the ionic forms. Coming to the last factor, influence of crystalline state and polymorphism. One can recall the chapter of states of matter. The solid state, again the solid state, the drugs is going to be existed again the three forms. One is crystalline, amorphous and polymers. The crystalline is the unique lattices, they are having a specific structure, 7 crystalline lattices, whereas amorphous form doesn't have any internal lattices. Polymorphic form is nothing but existing of more than one crystalline form of the same drug. If you remember, we have discussed in that chapter, crystalline drugs are more stable. That means you require more energy to break their bonds or internal lattices to be dissolved, whereas amorphous drugs doesn't require more energy and they can easily be solubilizable. So the chemical stability of solid state is affected by the physical state of the drugs. In the crystalline state, the drugs present in low state free energy, that is requires high energy to break the bonds and hence fairly slow in reactivity. When there is no solubility, when the solubility is suppressed, and definitely the reactivity will not be there, because once the reaction should happen, either the drug should exist in the molecular level or ionic level. And in the amorphous state, that is high free energy levels, the drug is generally less stable than that of crystalline form, hence fast in reactivity. The next question is, what are the various physical and chemical factors affecting the degradation of the pharmaceutical product? The physical factors such as lot of volatile constituents, lot of loss of water, absorption of water, crystalline growth, polymorphic changes and color changes. These are the by physical means where the drug is going to be degraded, and the chemical means by hydrolysis and oxidation how the drug is going to be degraded. So move on to the first one, the physical factors. Loss of volatile constituents. Medicaments such as iodine, camphor and menthol, we all know these are very volatile, that is ready to evaporate at the room temperature, have tendency to evaporate from the product during the storage. So how to prevent this? See, for each and every factor we are also going to discuss the remedy how to prevent this. Well closed containers and keep in a cool place. The cool place where the temperature is less, the evaporation will be less, and also closed containers will prevent the escape of the solvents or the medicaments from the product. Next one is loss of water. Effervescent substances such as borax, caffeine have tendency to lose water, like how these evaporating from the products. Once again, the remedy for this is well closed containers and keep in a cool place. The next comes physical factor is absorption of water. Hygroscopic substances such as calcium chloride, potassium permanganate have tendency to absorb the water instead of evaporating the water. That means when you keep them in the room temperature, they're ready to absorb the moisture from the atmosphere. So how to prevent them? Once again, storing them in airtight containers and keep in a cool place. Regarding the crystalline growth and polymorphic changes, we already discussed in the chapter of suspension, that is crystal growth section, that is instability of suspensions. Color changes. Many color compounds or any color products which adding the dyes in pharmaceutical products indicates there is a physical instability due to the chemical reactions and photochemical aggression. That means if you take any color product and if you keep in the normal room temperature or during the sunlight, if any changes in the color or at least the color fading, the reducing the intensity of the color indicates there are some chemical reactions was happening in the compound, and it indicates there is degradation of the pharmaceutical product. So once again, how to prevent this? Storage in the amber colored bottles which prevent the entry of light into these products. Now come to the last one, the chemical pathways by which the drug is going to be degraded, the pharmaceutical product is going to be degraded. And then the first one is hydrolysis. So basically, if you see the general principle of hydrolysis, the drugs with ester or amide groups, preferably will undergo hydrolysis and react with one molecule of water. Hydrolysis means breakdown in the presence of water and undergoes hydrolysis. You can see hydrolysis of ester leads to the formation of acetic acid and alcohol. Similarly, amide hydrolysis leads to the formation of carboxylic acid and amine. So hydrolysis reactions are catalyzed by either H plus or OH minus ions present in the water. Further, hydrolysis reaction between the ionic species is more faster than the neutral species. That's what we have studied in the internal factors in the previous sections. That is, if a drug is present in the ionic form, it is having more solubility and hence more reactivity. Example is another example of a ester hydrolysis is aspirin. Aspirin undergoes hydrolysis and forms to the product of salicylic acid and acetic acid. Similarly, in the amines, salicylamide which undergoes hydrolysis and forms the product salicylic acid and ammonia. So comes to the prevention, how to prevent this hydrolysis. Hydrolysis reactions are known to occur in the presence of moisture, that is water, and also the catalytic species such as H plus and OH minus ions. Hence, the productive measures are aims to eliminate these factors, that is the moisture and catalysis will prevent the degradation of hydrolysis. In that, the first one is buffers. The pH of solutions to be adjusted in such a way that they will not or the drugs will have less reactivity. Just where before we are discussing the weak acids and weak bases is going to be degraded, is going to be solubilized in the opposite media, that is acidic pH or basic pH. So if one can able to adjust the pH to a neutral pH, then these drugs is not going to be ionized and not going to be degraded in the solvents. And the next way to prevent hydrolysis is a complexation. Hydrolysis of benzocaine in aqueous solutions can be inhibited by the addition of caffeine. So one can recall we have discussed this in the drug caffeine complexes chapter. The caffeine usually form complex with the benzocaine. When the complex is formed with the benzocaine is not ready to go for hydrolysis. Suppression of solubility. So we know the solubility, ionized particles having more solubility, and more the solubility, more the degradation. So once if we suppress the solubility, then the drugs is not readily available for the reactions. When the solubility of drug decreases, the concentration of the drug in the solution will be decreased automatically. Hence the rate of the reaction will be decreased. So how to suppress the solubility? There are various ways to suppress the solubility. One is by adding the additives, that is they are going to decrease the hydration of the drugs, removal of water present in the product, or storing the drug in the dry form rather than its aqueous form, and using water immiscible solvents. Next comes another degradation pathways through oxidation. Oxidation involves the addition of oxygen or removal of electrons from a molecule. So in case of oxidation, the general principles are the presence of atmospheric oxygen, like the presence of moisture in hydrolysis. The presence of atmospheric oxygen promotes the rate of oxidation. Further, the light provides the necessary energy, that is the collision energy, to initiate the oxidation process. The presence of trace metals also, such as copper, will initiate the oxidation. In case of oxidation, atmospheric oxygen, light, and the presence of metals, all these three influence the rate of oxidation process. If we see for the oxidation, ascorbic acid undergoes oxidation in the presence of oxygen molecule and in the presence of copper metal and form dihydroascorbic acid. When the solutions are free from traces of copper, ascorbic acid is not going to be oxidized by the molecular oxygen to a measurable extent. That means usually the presence of oxygen causes the oxidation of ascorbic acid, but not a measurable extent, that means a greater extent. But in the presence of copper, this reaction is going to be doubled. However, with the traces of copper lead to the rapid oxidation of ascorbic acid, that means the oxidation is going to be proceeded in a faster manner. So how to prevent this oxidation? Oxidation reactions are also known to occur in the presence of oxygen, trace metals, and catalytic species such as H+ and OH-. Hence, protective measures aims to eliminate the influence of these factors using such as antioxidant, that is water-soluble antioxidants such as cysteine, thioglycolic acid, and oil-soluble antioxidants such as butylated hydroxy, andazole, and propyl gallate. Chelating agents such as EDTA, citric acid, tartaric acid will form complexes with heavy metals. So then the heavy metals is not available in the reaction to proceed for the oxidation. Thus the metal ions are not available for the oxidation. Another way of preventing the oxidation is using a mixture of water with other solvents, because water having H+ and OH- ions. If we use other solvents where the H+ and OH- will be absent and the reaction is not going to proceed. And the final one is micellar solubilizations. Surfactant higher concentrations, we all know it will form micellis. The concentration at which micellis is forming is called as critical micellar concentration. In this, what happens is when the micelli is formed, these are the surfactant molecules and this is the micelli. And if you entrap the drug inside the micelli, the aqueous core, by entrapping them in the spherical micelli, this drug is not available to the external environment where the water was present, and the oxidation is not going to happen because the drug is not readily available to the external environment to proceed. The drug is safely entrapped or escaped from the external environment through these micelli. So using the micellar solubilization technique also one can prevent the oxidation of drugs. Thank you everyone for your patience listening, and this is end of the presentation part 2.